This is a CNBC special report. Is your money safe? The fall of Lehman Brothers.
When there was a huge round of layoffs the month prior in February, I was on vacation in New Zealand. I think I saw an email from a coworker saying, hey, this just happened. And it was really, really shocking. They had weathered all these other financial storms. And, the whole concept of too big to fail, it was just such a large layoff and unexpected. I was laid off in March, and then it went completely under in September. It was a Friday, and I had access to my boss's email, and I saw an email, my boss asking the CAO who was going to tell me, and the CAO said, I'll tell him. I had no warning beyond happening to see an email that it was coming down the pike for our department. I'd say that there probably is a portion of people think everyone was somehow in cahoots as far as the crisis was. There was nothing that my department did that attributed, to the downfall and bad loans and, everything that you hear about. It seemed to be into two camps of, there was a group of people who were just waiting for the next shoe to drop. And then there was the people like, okay, we weathered the worst. It's hope for the best, prepare for the worst, kind of mentality. I would say that there's just been a lot of instability for me work-wise. I haven't been able to, get into a place and, get traction. When Lehman Brothers went bankrupt, I was in touch with my boss. When I asked him, what's this like? How are you doing? What have you? He was like, well, this is kind of one for the history books. I feel like I'm witnessing history.
My job was to make sure all the correct IP assets went over and the ones that weren't supposed to go over didn't. I never really felt personally at risk. I think just because I was busy, I was always busy, it never was changing. Lehman was huge, so I don't think, anyone thought that something that big could go bankrupt. One in particular was 745 7th Avenue was like surrounded by reporters. So every time I would go between the buildings, I'd get stopped and they'd ask me what's going on, blah, blah, blah. I can't really think of any situation under which the Barclays Lehman deal happened, whereas like the people coming over would be, thrilled. Company went bankrupt and they got, picked off, in a bankruptcy. But I think that in itself, feeds a little bit of possibly resentment. Every company is run by people, right? No matter how smart they are, they don't know everything. And if something doesn't seem right or something seems to be different than other people are telling you, don't ignore that.
Maybe protecting yourself from the financial crisis is difficult. Economic collapse can happen without warning. When the secular bull market turns down, the world will experience unprecedented market behavior as asset bubbles burst. Investors will find that there are no buyers at any price. The problem is that this time it will not only involve the biggest wealth destruction in history, but also lead to major economic problems in society with mass unemployment, no social security, no pensions, breakdown in law and order, social unrest, and geopolitical conflict. Reading these dark forecasts, I can understand that most people want to stick their head in the sand and ignore these dire predictions. I would also hope that all these predictions are false and won't come to pass. But as Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill said, the truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is. The problem is, of course, that the truth will often only be known after the event. What this means is that some point during the downturn, stocks will fall precipitously, with no buyers to be seen. Computer trading programs accounting for 70 to 80% of volumes will issue massive sell orders, and the price will just drop into a black hole since there will be no bid. The general investment public will naturally panic and sell at any price. But the problem is that there will be no stock market because there will be no buyers. This is how stock markets quickly can drop 50% or more in a couple of days due to a total lack of liquidity and buyers. As the Dow chart below shows, there is now a quadruple top with weaker momentum or negative divergence for each top. This is extremely bearish and likely to lead to a major fall in the coming weeks or months. The secular bull market in stocks is now coming to an end, leading to the biggest secular bear market in history. The Dow Jones will go no bid, with no buyer at any price. The same will happen in the bond markets. Investors will want to get out of government or corporate bonds, which are unlikely to pay the interest, and many will default. With no buyers, the bond market will crash and bond rates will go to infinity. Rates above 50% might sound attractive, but meaningless if neither interest nor capital will be paid. This will create total panic in credit markets as the global debt of currently $250 trillion implodes. In the meantime, central banks around the world will print an additional hundreds of trillions of dollars in a futile attempt to save the world. But it will be the 1.5 quadrillion derivatives market that will kill financial markets. This is a false market that only works in bull markets when there is liquidity and counterparties pay up. In the coming implosion of asset values, there will be no liquidity and no buyers of worthless derivatives as counterparties default. In retrospect, this incredibly profitable activity for all the major investment banks will be judged as fraudulent, with severe consequences for management and regulators, as well as for the world. Central banks will panic, print unlimited amounts of money, lower rates to zero or negative, stop trading in markets for extended periods, and manipulate markets in every possible fashion. But they and their governments will fail since they are bankrupt, having issued an unlimited amount of debt that they can never repay. The following comes from Jim Willey. Numerous are the signals from the United States and many countries from several sectors. Consider some diverse miserable indexes which led the person with any remaining intelligent brain matter capital betwixt the ears to conclude the global economic condition is very bad. Let the pictures tell the story. The U.S. Federal Reserve and the Euro Central Bank will react with infinite QE forever, move toward the 0% rate. At the same time, they will be compelled together toward monetizing certain icon companies. Another reality is a great many brick and mortar Main Street businesses are on the precipice of closing. There are two primary drivers of this systemic vulnerability. One, costs are rising far faster than enterprises' ability to raise prices for the goods and services they sell. Two, wages and salaries, earned income, has stagnated for the past 20 years for the lower 95% of households, while costs of big-ticket expenses such as rent, healthcare, college, childcare, and government services and taxes have risen sharply. Blowing a real estate bubble that crushed small businesses may well be viewed in hindsight as the Federal Reserve's cruelest and most destructive policy error. Please make sure you understand basic economic concepts so you can see warning signs of instability. One of the first signs is a stock market crash. If it's bad enough, a stock market crash can cause a recession. So, a recession is coming. We can see clearly now, every American citizen deserves to be ready for coming financial crisis.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 49. I am come to send fire on the earth. And what will I, if it be already kindled? Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the name who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai is his son who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. First and foremost, I want to give all praise and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostle, great millstone, Ruel, and taught us his truth. They are the true teachers for the nation Israel on earth today. And salutation to the Akim out there pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth and risking the right to do so for Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai's sake. I'm Brother Samak from the GMS Miami camp. And yes, the reason why I brought the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 49, is I came across an article where you're having financial brokerage firms, all right, predicting a Lehman-like event happening in the markets. And that's why I put in post-production, all right, those two former employees of Lehman Brothers, how one day they were working and the next day they're out of a job. All right, and this is coming, all right, to America and abroad, okay? Because we're living in the last days where all hell's going to break loose. You're going to see people lose their jobs, all right, lose their mind and end up destroying, end up committing acts of violence to their neighbors, all right, to these institutions that they believed in. And because why? We're living in the last days. All right, these are the signs, these are the prophecies, all right, that the Lord told us, all right, to look for, all right, in these last days. So let's get into this article. It says Nomura. Now, Nomura is a financial brokerage firm based out of Japan. It is the largest firm. Okay, and they're the ones that actually bought Lehman Brothers. If you look into this company, all right, for $2 a shares when Lehman Brothers, okay, was going bankrupt. All right. And hey, if anybody knows about Lehman Brothers, they almost took down the financial, okay, system in '08. So Nomura, quote, a second market sell-off could be Lehman-like. All right, that's very scary, man. And that's a very bold statement to say. It goes on and says, investors shouldn't take much solace from Tuesday's morning rebound, says Nomura. The firm is warning the next sell-off could resemble a crisis-level plunge like the one that followed Lehman Brothers' collapse. This view is much more catastrophic than the rest of Wall Street, with most firms predicting a stock market correction down 10% at most and likely just a slight pullback. Nomura is basing his views on data showing hedge funds fleeing the market and said more are set to exit when their algorithms are triggered by rising volatility, unstable in the market. All right? And this is very, okay, a scary situation because, hey, if investors don't invest in companies, that means, all right, companies start having to what? Have layoffs. Stocks rebound Tuesday from their worst day of the year as China stabilized the yuan, which many believe was used as a weapon in the trade war with the U.S. The Dow Jones Industrial Average died 967 points on Monday, is the sixth largest point drop in history after China allowed its currency to breach a psychological level and also halted the purchase of U.S. farm goods. And that's another blow, all right? China said, I'm no longer buying U.S. agriculture. The CBOE, and I'm going to get into that article because that's a big indicator that the economy is going to collapse. All right, because farmers are already struggling, which I'm going to get into that article. Just bear with me. The CBOE, all right, which is based in Chicago, Volatility Index, aka Wall Street's fear gauge, swung to the highest in 2019 on Monday. Quote, at this point, we think it would be a mistake to dismiss the possibility of a Lehman-like shock as a mere tail risk, Nomura macro and quant strategist Masanari Takada said in a note Tuesday. Quote, the pattern in U.S. stock market sentiment has come to even more closely resemble the picture of sentiment on the eve of 2008 Lehman Brothers collapse. That marked the onset of the global financial crisis. All right? And this is coming straight out of, all right, these firms that have, okay, had to embrace, all right, this financial crisis. Not to mention, I did a video about Deutsche Bank, all right, having to, there's a run on the bank, $1 billion, all right? And they had, 18,000 employee layoffs starting now all the way up to 2022, and that's what they're projecting now. Hey, what happened right here? It could set even more layoffs immediately. That's why I put in that video, all right, these employees at Lehman Brothers. One day they were working there, one day they were living the high life, next day they were out of a job. And that's coming to America and abroad. That's why it's going to be fire raging through this place, man. All right, you think these shootings that are happening, all right, in El Paso, Texas, and in Ohio, you think that was just some form of, things happen? No, it's going to get worse, man. America has a whole bunch of guns in here, man. A whole bunch of weapons. And when people don't have food and water, and they have hate for the next race, all right, a lot of bodies are going to drop. All right? People do crazy things when there's no food, no water. So y'all better get ready because the times are coming. Let's get into another scripture. Then I'm gonna go into another article. Oh, there's more coming, man. This ain't just it, man. Hey, we're living in the last days. A financial collapse is coming. You better get ready. And if you're a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American who are the true biblical Hebrew Israelites, it'll behoove you to take heed to what the prophets are telling you and return to Yahweh Shemel Shai, or not, and partake in a mass slaughter, because that's what's coming. A lot of death, a lot of destruction. And this is all before Yahweh Shai makes his appearance. So, it's going to get real out there. Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 11. How ye inhabitants of Mektesh, for all the merchant people are cut down. All that Baal silver are cut off. Right, man. And Mektesh was a ancient city within Israel, man. And hey, the Lord took their financial status out of power. And that's what the Lord is doing now. All right? And taking these financial institutions out of power. All right? And this Wall Street stock market, all right, is going to collapse. All right? That's the end of you investors. That's the end of this little party, this little illusion that you've been, concocting, man, since Wall Street was established. Verse 12, and it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles and punish the men that are settled on their lees. Right, that's talking about your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who are just going on with their daily lives, not caring what's going on in front of them. All right? You're Israelites. You're supposed to be paying attention to what the Lord has to say. All right? If you're thinking about a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, hey, man, you are dead off, man. And the Lord's going to destroy you. All right? Because you're not, all right, considering the times that we're living in. And it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles and punish the men that are set on their lees. Right? You're going to be punished. You're going to starve. All right? You're going to wail. All right? You're going to turn into cannibalism. They that say in their heart, the Lord will not do good, neither will he do evil. Right, man? That's what's in your heart. Because your actions what conducts, all right, what your heart believes in. Not what you say is what you do. All right? And what you've been doing is not, okay, worshiping the true power, going on to get along, all right, believing in these institutions, man. And these institutions are crumbling, man. Hello, this major financial brokerage firm, all right, that bought Lehman Brothers for $2 a share, all right, is now saying that a Lehman-like event is going to happen within the market. That should be a red flag. Verse 13, therefore their goods shall become a booty, and their houses a desolation. They shall also build houses, but not inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards, but not drink the wine thereof. Right. All this working is going to come to naught. A bag full of holes. You know, I didn't write that scripture down, but let me get it. Haggai. Chapter 1, verse 6. Ye have so much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye cloth you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. Meaning you're not going anywhere, all right? Because everything you make goes right back into this piece of shit system that's crumbling all around you, right? And if you want to continue to believe in this system, well, get ready for these news media to start screaming, all right, blood in the streets. Get ready for these too big to fail the banks, all right, start talking about how, all right, their stocks are tumbling. It's going to be very scary out there. In fact, well, let me get to this other article. All right, this is from New York Post. Securing Wall Street job now is harder than ever. Insiders. Right, this came out August 5th, 2019. All right, yesterday. These are all recent articles, man. And this, what they're saying here, all right, is exactly what happened during the time of Lehman Brothers. Lehman Brothers, they started laying off their employees, and all of a sudden after that, they went bankrupt, and then the markets, all right, went haywire. And that's what's coming again. The U.S. labor market may be booming, but it's been a bloodbath on Wall Street. And that's a joke, all right? Because as I've been reading reports that there's people that are working 2 or 3 jobs. So, of course, the U.S. labor market is going to look good when you got to work 2 or 3 fucking jobs, all right? But it's been a bloodbath on Wall Street. A recent wave of layoffs for some of the biggest banks is making it harder than ever to get a job on Wall Street. Recruiters and other insiders say. On Monday, banking giant HSBC announced more than 4,750 layoffs as the company looks to rein in costs, a culling that brings the total number of bankers out of work this year to more than 23,000 globally. That is a red flag, man. The economy's going to collapse. Y'all better get your head out of your fucking ass. HSBC announcement comes on the heels of more than 18,000 cuts from Deutsche Bank and hundreds more from Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, and other powerhouses that have slim ranks this year. Y'all better wake up. While it's unclear how many of those positions are based in New York City, local recruiters say they're being flooded by resumes, a glut that is making it tough for anyone who's not a top-tier candidate to find work. So if you're not the best in the best, you ain't getting no fucking job. You're going to be working dead-end jobs like these 2 schmucks and Lehman Brothers when they lost their position there. On the sales side of it, turning out to be a big year for layoffs in comparison to the last year. On the sell side, it's turning out to be a big year for layoffs in comparison to the last 3 years, right? So, hey man, this is a big red flag. It's not a pretty environment to go on search for a finance job, even if the unemployment rate is 3.7%, right? And these are people who are claiming unemployment. That doesn't include how many, all right, lost their unemployment because they couldn't find work. And that doesn't include, once again, those that are working 2 or 3 jobs just to get by. Driving the layoffs are a combination of factors, including major reshuffling at Deutsche Bank that will lead to elimination of roughly 1 in 5 jobs. And Deutsche Bank, all right, is the largest financial bank in Europe. And there's a run on a bank, all right? I did a video on that once again. $1 billion are being extracted from that bank. Banks are also getting hit by President Trump's trade war, which has caused institutional investors and other major clients to step back from trading, even as big names like Uber have had initial public offerings. Adding to bank woes, the Federal Reserve cut its base interest rate for the first time since 2008, decreasing what banks can earn on mortgage and other loans. It could cut again this year if President Trump gets his way right. And the Federal Reserve, all right, by lowering the interest rate is a huge indicator that the market is not doing good. All right? We're living in the last days. A financial collapse is coming. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. There's more. Ecclesiastes. All right? Chapter 3. This is not a game. This is not a joke. The prophets here at Great Millstone through the Spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai have been warning our people that the economy is going to collapse. And now we're seeing it, man. It's breaking apart. This shit is over. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. All right? So what season are we in? We're in a season, all right, for this system to collapse. Verse 2, a time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. Right? And it's time for this whole institution to be plucked up. All right? That's why they're having currency wars, because the dollar is obsolete. Hence reason why now all these financial institutions are catering towards technology, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, all right, because they have to implement and institute the RFID chip, the microchip, the mark of the beast. All right. In fact, I believe this is the article that said, "Yep, that's the spirit," because the dollar is getting ripped up. No one wants the American currency anymore. All right. These banking institutions are failing. So where are they going to go to keep their power? Crypto. All right. And it says right here, the 2019 Wall Street doldrums have gotten so bad that headhunters are even recommending their banker clients look elsewhere for work. Quote, "There's a great time for people to look at their careers and explore other avenues like fintech, crypto, and new job economy," says Options Group Corp. "The most in-demand types of jobs," Johnson said, "are in technology and operations. And banks are continuing to hire aggressively in those positions." Right, because that's where it's going. Digital. Everything's going digital. RFID chips coming. All right? So the dollar's going to collapse. Verse 3. A time to kill and a time to heal. Right. A time of killing's coming. Because when this happens, all right, you think a lot of people are going to go along getting the chip? No. A lot of people are going to rob, kill, steal, break the law, all right? Rob their neighbor. These are the times that we're coming to. It's going to be very scary out here. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down, a time to build right. And right now it's a time to break down. The Lord is breaking this system down. Because once they push the chip in, that's it, man. The prophecy's going to move fast. World War III is going to kick off. All right? Also, Jacob trouble is going to happen prior to the nukes flying. All right? This is it, man. We're in the last days. Verse 4, a time to weep and a time to laugh. Right. You people are going to be weeping. We hear the prophets are going to be laughing. A time to mourn, a time to dance. Y'all are going to be mourning. We hear the prophets are going to be dancing. All right? Drinking. I got a bottle of wine ready. I'm going to be dancing when I see this economy collapsing. All right? I'm a two-step, all right, to the downfall of this economy. I'm dead serious. All right? Verse 8, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. And a lot of people are going to be reframing to embrace. In fact, the love of many shall wax cold. That reminds me of this scripture, because that's what's coming, man. A lot of death, a lot of destruction, a lot of fire is going to be, happen across this place and across the globe. All right, you have already protesting happening in France, Yellow Vest. You got protesting happening in Hong Kong. You got, sedition in Venezuela. Sedition in France once again. They're beating up the police force. All right? You got, in Hong Kong, these people with the white shirts using sticks to beat the protesters up. Which now is coming out that they're part of the Triad gang. And they're being funded, or they're being backed by the government, okay? You can look into that. So Matthew 24 and 13, but 12. And because iniquity shall abound, right, wickedness, all right, evils of these people, the love of many shall wax cold. And that's what we're seeing. So there's going to be a time to refrain from embracing, and that's what's happening, man. Verse 6, a time to get and a time to lose. Y'all going to lose everything. All you investors, all you 401k clowns, all you pensioners. Perfect time to bring this out. All right? Washington Post. This is scary stuff. Because this came out, I believe it was yesterday. A silent pension crisis is eating away local government services. Here's what you need to know. Uh-oh. That's a scary indicator to where this country's going to, right? State and local governments are cutting. Look what they're cutting. Check this out, man. State and local governments are cutting police, firefighters, and other staff to pay their retirees. So if there's no police on the beat, there's no firefighters when the fire is ignited, when the fire is kindled, what is that going to happen to your lovely little towns, your lovely little cities, all right? Your rural areas, your suburban areas, all right? Nothing but chaos, nothing but destruction. Once again, you're going to lose it all. And these pensioners, you police officers, you firefighters, you're going to lose your pensions too. All right, I did a report a couple of months back that these pensions are highly, they're overinvested, meaning they're getting a high interest rate that they shouldn't have been. All right, and so what you're going to see is a lot of these pensions start unraveling. I believe they said right here, there's a 1.2 trillion pension Let me get it right here. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. Nearly all the 14 million people who work full-time for the state and local governments are eligible for traditional pensions, which guarantee a fixed lifetime income for those who have worked for those governments for a certain number of years. To pay for those retirement benefits, governments are supposed to contribute money to their pension funds each year. How are they going to do that? Through taxes. So either they raise taxes or they cut the police force, the firefighters, and the sanitation department enough to cover the benefits earned by their employees during that year. But governments have underfunded those pensions by at least 1.28 trillion and probably much, much more. Uh-oh. That's not a good sign for y'all. All right, so, and what they're saying here is that when you go to this article, governments are cutting jobs, not increasing revenue to shore up pensions. Most local governments are not responding by increasing revenue, raising fees or taxes. Instead, right, because if you raise taxes, the people are going to revolt. So now they're going to cut local jobs like firefighters, police officers, sanitation workers, so on and so forth. Instead, they typically try making ends meet by cutting local government staffing. On average, a city where pension costs doubled over the decade responded by cutting full-time equivalent employment per capita by 6.4%. In a city of 100,000 people, that's typically a loss of about 65 city employees. Those staffing cuts are more pronounced in places with strong unions and collective bargaining. And governments are cutting an array of municipal and county workers, including police, firefighters, and sanitation employees. It's very scary. Well, why would they do this? A main business of local government is providing services. Personal costs make up a large share of typical local budget. Raising taxes is politically difficult. For local officials needing to make room for rising pension costs, personal costs are a natural place to look. Out of the public eye, public sector pension expenditures are quietly and persistently eating into local government budgets. As a result, local government workforces in many places are shrinking. This doesn't just mean fewer government jobs to go around. It means that all those who rely on local government services are in danger of losing those supports. Many Americans take for granted that their local governments will provide public services like police protection, fire protection, street sweeping, and refuse collection. But it may well become hard for local governments to carry out those basic functions because of rising pension costs. All hell is coming to America. All right, y'all better get ready. A time to rent and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. Back to the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 7. 8. A time to love and a time to hate. That's what's coming. That's what you're seeing. Shootings. A time of war and a time of peace. And we're coming in a time of war. You Americans, you have no idea what's about to happen. But that's on you. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who are the true biblical Hebrew Israelites, you better repent or take part in this wrath that the Lord is bringing. Because this is all done to the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Next one. Wall Street banks bailing on troubled U.S. farm sector. Right. That is the heart, all right, of America's economy, man. America exports food throughout the world. It's the largest exporter of food besides exporting weapons. And now you have Wall Street banks bailing on them. All right? This article came out July 2019. I'm not going to go into this article. You can read it for yourself. China. Another one. China deals deadly blow to struggling U.S. And that, by the way, that was Reuters. This is the Wall Street Journal now. Bear me one moment. And this leads me to Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 3. This ain't a game. Y'all better wake up if you're an Israelite and you're watching this. Ecclesiastes chapter 12. And 3. In the day of when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that are out of the windows be dark and bright. Hence, okay, the farmers see no future. All right? The banks are not lending them any money. China, which is the largest importer of America's agriculture, stopped because of Donald Trump's trade war. All right? So, hey, man, there's no future. And not only that, you have retail apocalypse. You also have student loan debts. You also have the auto industry and delinquencies. Hey, it's very scary, man. There's no future here for America. Verse 4, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, meaning unemployment, no employment. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low, right? Because the music here is trash now, all right? So this place is through. If you can't see it, that's on you. But we hear the prophets of great millstone through the spirit of power, Yahweh Shemel Shai. We see it, and the elect see it, all right? Those that are following great millstone and the doctrine of great millstone, right? Let's get second Esdras. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I'm just going to run through these scriptures. So what's going to happen when the economy collapses and there's no food and water, and they start telling you to take the RFID chip if you want some form of ration? Okay? You're dealing with the devil here, man. Second Esdras chapter 6, verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Right. No food, no water in the supermarkets. All right. No employment. Verse 23. And the trumpet shall give sound, which when every man hear it, they shall be suddenly afraid. Right. A lot of people are going to be scared in these last days. 24. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. Right. Your brother, your sister, your best friend that you were smoking weed with, that you were doing drugs with, you're going to end up killing each other for no food, no water. All right. At the time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Right. There's no escaping, man. This is going to go down. Next scripture. Second Esdras chapter 15, and I'm going to start at 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, right, meaning death and destruction. Verse 15, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands, right. Civil unrest, civil wars, sedition, race wars. 16, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, right? Meaning they're not going to care about the authoritative figures anymore. For example, look at France. For example, look at Hong Kong. For example, look at Venezuela. Get the picture? Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able to. Right? You're going to have martial law troops, military troops running around, gunning people. Right? It's going to get wild out here, man. Verse 18, for because of their pride the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Right. The man that's hitting the gym, lifting 240 pounds, he's going to be afraid. All right? The police officer that was looked at in his neighborhood as a straight shooter, he's going to be afraid. All right? Firefighters, they're going to be afraid. "17. A man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able to, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed." Right, and that's really is pride. The pride of you people here in America, mainly, man. All right, your pride is what's going to destroy you. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And that's what's coming, man. No food, no water. Hey, you're having financial experts talking about a Lehman Brother-like sell-off. All right. You have local governments, all right, not hiring police officers, not hiring firefighters anymore, not hiring sanitation workers due to the pension crisis. You're having, banking institutions laying off their own employees. You're having farmers, all right, complaining about the struggling farm industry. The banks are not investing in the farm industry anymore. China's not buying American farm agriculture. We're here. What more evidence do you want? With that, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rokah Kodash. Double honors to the apostle, great Musa and Ruel, and taught us this truth. They are the true teachers for the nation Israel on earth today. And salutation to the Akim out there pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth and risking their life to do so for Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai's sake. Love you, brothers. Keep enduring, keep the faith. And with that, Roma's out of here. Shalom and a Bible ball.